As always, welcome everyone, welcome Peter. I'm happy to have you here today with us, and I can't wait to personally learn from you. But before we start, let me do a little bit of intro. So, my name is Yuri. I'm a contributor at Code Control and 9am.works, and I'll be hosting the webinar today. And our guest is Peter Balog, a marketing consultant and entrepreneur, content creator, and freelance mentor who helps freelancers grow at Freelance Pizza. I love naming, by the way, a comprehensive course designed for creative professionals wanting to launch a freelance business. Peter was one of the most practical speakers at Freelance Unlocked conference last year, the first conference for freelancers made with love. And by the way, it all happens this year too, on May 14th, 15th in Berlin. So if you want to successfully grow your freelance business, go to freelanceunlocked.com and grab your ticket right away so that you won't miss it. I will also share it in the chat with you. And just like that, here's what will happen next. Before handing it over to Peter, I'll tell you about the structure of today's webinar. First, I'll quickly explain what exactly 9am is and what we do for new people who haven't tried it yet. Then we'll have a great presentation from our amazing speaker. And next, we might have some time to ask Peter anything about multi-channel marketing. But to ask questions, you don't really have to wait until the Q&A. Just type your questions in the Q&A section, or if you can't find it, just write them in the chat, and Peter will answer them after the presentation. And also, once the webinar ends, you will see a survey on your screen. It'll literally take almost nothing of your time, but it'll help us a lot to understand what to do and how to do better to bring you the most value in the future. So about the 9am. Okay, it's always running forward, but about the 9am. So basically, it's a freelance operating system, and it's all-in-one tool that you need as a freelancer. And whether you're just starting or growing your freelancing career, 9am will assist you in getting new clients, arranging projects, receiving payments, and even in the future, handling your finances. So it's free for freelancers to sign up. So try it. And if you have any feedback, share your thoughts with us right away, as we are craving for ways to improve. And also, we constantly bring a ton of value for freelancers with 9am community on Slack and Freelance Thrive and Freelance Sucks podcasts. And just like that, Peter, I'm giving all power to you, and I'll be somewhere nearby, just like the truth. So let's get ready. Let's do it.
Thank you, Yuri. Thank you for that very nice introduction. Let me just share my screen here real quick. I always wanted to be a rock star. This is the closest that we got.
Where's your guitar? Where's your guitar, Peter?
I know.
I can see it.
My mind is my guitar.
Okay, let's play on it.
All right, so yeah, welcome everybody. My name is Peter Balog, and today what we're going to be talking about is freelance lead generation on autopilot. Basically, we're going to be talking about multi-channel marketing for freelancers. I'm going to be explaining what multi-channel marketing is and how can such a difficult and B2B and enterprisey high-level marketing concept be implemented by simple freelancers with limited resources. So about me. As Yuri said in his very lovely introduction, I was a speaker last year at Freelance Unlocked, but I've been freelancing for 15-ish years now. I started out as a article writer, then I transitioned into marketing, and what I usually do now is like very high level marketing. I still do freelancing as well. I talk a lot about freelancing as well, as you can see it here in the slide. I love sharing my experiences. I love connecting with other freelancers, and I love staying, up to date with the latest tech when it comes to lead generation, when it comes to empowering ourselves as freelancers with the right tools, with the right mindset. So yeah, in my heart, I'm a marketer. I still do like freelance client stuff as well, but at the same time, I help teach and coach freelancers as well. So I kind of see both sides of the coin. And when it comes to my experience, I'm sharing my experience and the experience of coaching and teaching a lot of people as well. So let's dive into today's session. We're going to be talking about a formula that I've been recently using myself and teaching as well, a formula that is about lead generation. And as I said, bringing multi-channel marketing down to a more approachable level for freelancers. So first, today we're going to be talking about what multi-channel marketing is. Some people like to call it all-bound marketing. I'll explain everything about these concepts. And most importantly, I'll try to explain why should you as a freelancer care about this. Second and third as well, I'm going to be showcasing two channels that I believe every freelancer should be utilizing right now. It's basically a formula, a tactic that seems to be working on a number of different levels. So this is basically the formula that like high-level businesses are nowadays using, high-level tech-enabled businesses are using to do lead generation. And it's a formula that freelancers can adopt as well. So I suggest that we dive in. So I want to zoom out first a little bit and just take a quick look at why do some or even most freelancers struggle. I've struggled this a number of times throughout my career. And it's basically the problem of lead generation, right? I like to call this the feast or famine cycle. So if you look at this lovely chart that I've prepared here, throughout our times as freelancers, what we struggle with is that there are these so-called ups and downs of freelancing. So sometimes we feel that there's like a lot of work going on and that we are slumped with client stuff. We can't focus on anything else. So we are basically working in our business, meaning that we are delivering wonderful stuff to our clients, but we can't really work on our business, meaning we can't really work on our marketing. We can't really focus on getting new clients. So what this means is that after we deliver those wonderful deliverables to our clients, suddenly we notice that, hey, we don't have anything else coming up. So these cycles of having a lot of work and having to look for work, they keep repeating as well. It's the ups and downs of freelancing. It's the feast or famine cycle. So that's usually the biggest problem with freelancers is that we have these cycles where we're just panicking because there's a lot to do, and then we're panicking because there's nothing to do. So how do we avoid this? What's the solution to this big problem? Well, the solution is to having a systematic marketing approach to your freelancing, as in treating your freelancing business as any other business. So not just focusing on delivering wonderful stuff for your clients, but at the same time making sure that there is a system behind you that is hopefully automatic. Maybe not in all cases, but it's a lead generation system that functions um, more or less without you, meaning that even when you're slumped with client work, you still have a system set up that allows you to get clients loaded up in the pipeline so that when the month ends, when your current client gig ends, you already have one or two clients lined up, one or two meetings booked in, so that there's always something coming up. And in order to achieve that, what we need is a systematic approach. And nowadays, what works best is a systematic multi-channel lead generation system. So what is multi-channel, or as some other people like to call it, all-bound marketing? Well, in order to break that down, first, I would suggest that we take a look at like what are the classic marketing channels. So what is inbound marketing, for example? Maybe you guys have heard about this concept. Well, inbound marketing in the simplest terms is you putting stuff out there and the client finds your stuff and they come to you and approach you about wanting to work together. This is the classic stuff, content creation, being present on social media, maybe running ads, or maybe networking at a real life event, or just word of mouth recommendation from other people. It's you existing in time and space and other people finding your content, and they like your content and they approach you and say, hey, yeah, I see that you do awesome stuff. Maybe potentially let's jump on a call, let's work together. That's basically inbound marketing, clients finding your stuff and coming to you. The other classic approach is outbound marketing, which is the opposite of inbound. You actually looking up potential clients and just knocking on their virtual doors and saying, hey, I'm here, I can do this and this and this for you, improve your business, get, better clients, more sales, more money, time saved, the usual stuff. Classically speaking, this is, sales, cold calling, cold emailing, outreach, right? So this is the difference between inbound and outbound marketing. And it's important to understand the difference because what we're trying to do is combine these two things. Now, even a couple of years ago, just being good at one of these channels was basically enough. Even nowadays, it can be enough, I would say. If you're like, you're a super well-established graphic designer and you are present on Instagram and you just, talk about your most recent work. If you're really, really good and you're top of your game, um, having just one channel is good enough because if you have amazing content and you reach tens of thousands of people, then you will always have something coming in. But what I find and what other freelancers are finding as well nowadays more and more is that just being good at one channel or being present on one channel is actually not enough anymore because a uh, everybody's creating content, right? Everybody is shouting into the void about, hey, I'm here, I'm present, I create amazing stuff. So these online spaces, the social media, content creation, whatever, they're getting more and more diluted, especially with the AI tools that are enabling us to even create more content. So yeah, if everybody is creating content, then it feels like nobody's creating content. So you don't really stand out. So we have to employ other avenues, other channels in order to build that credibility, build that trust, and establish that human connection with the potential client. Right. So how do we do that? Well, what I'm finding is that the best approach to this is to actually combine inbound and outbound and make it, as I said, all bound or multi-channel. How do we do that? Well, we have to be present on a classic inbound channel is what I suggest. And for most freelancers, LinkedIn is still the place to be. And the other stuff is cold classic outreach still works. So what we should do is basically build a systematic approach where we try to combine these two approaches, right? So that if somebody finds you on LinkedIn, you approach them with a cold outreach via an email. Or if you do a cold outreach, you find your perfect client and you write to them, hey, I want to work together with you. When they check out when they come and check out your LinkedIn, they see that you're a trustworthy industry leader, and that elevates your potential and your value. So what we want to be doing is to be combining these two approaches, these two channels, and then just try to build a snowball effect where one actually strengthens the other, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's a great combination to build trust, and it's a great combination that allows us to reach more clients. Hopefully you guys are still with me. So yeah, at this point, usually the big question is, okay, this sounds like wonderful, but how? How do we achieve this? How do we do this? So first, I want to be talking about the first part of the equation, being active on LinkedIn. Now, a quick side note here. What we can actually do is this approach kind of works with other social channels as well. So if you're very active on TikTok, Instagram, other channels, whatever, that should work as well. The core idea here is that you should have at least one place where you are showcasing your value, where you're sharing your content, where you're sharing case studies, success stories, basically a platform where you're just communicating about yourself. I picked LinkedIn because, as I said, I think it's still the best tool to just be omnipresent and try to reach clients for the most freelancing use cases. I'm not sure like what kind of freelancers you guys are, but even if you want to be going after more creative stuff, even if you want to have agencies that you want to work together, or find middlemen, whatever, being present on LinkedIn is always a good idea. So being active on LinkedIn is our first key. Now, the other objection I usually hear is that LinkedIn is not cool. And and I agree with that. LinkedIn is not cool. And there are a lot of like LinkedIn lunatics out there who talk about like how, I don't know, they're taking their children to kindergarten, inspired them to change the world because, so those kind of posts are not something that I would recommend. We'll talk about like what to post on LinkedIn as well. But yeah, if we are professionals and as freelance experts, we are definitely professionals. LinkedIn is still the place to be, even with all that bullcrap floating around and with all the AI generated content. LinkedIn is still the place to be. And the use case that I really recommend for LinkedIn is it should be a place where you basically demonstrate what value you provide to clients. Basically, that's where you demonstrate you know your stuff, right? Because when it comes to freelancing, it's always super important to showcase that we actually know our stuff, right? So if I am a freelance web developer, then I should not just say that, hey, I am a super amazing freelance web developer. I should always show it, right? Show examples of it, show other past clients, writing amazing testimonials about what kind of problems I solved for them. And LinkedIn and sharing related content on LinkedIn can be an amazing way to demonstrate your value, your expertise in a non-pushy manner. So what I usually say is that LinkedIn should be treated as your extended portfolio. To give you some examples, what kind of content I am talking about here. The key is to keep offering value on LinkedIn, right? We all kind of know who our ideal clients are. If not, I think you should always take a step back and just focus on really focusing down on and defining a ideal client for yourself. Because if you don't know who you are talking to, who your audience is, and if you want to be including, 10 different industries, to go back to our previous example. Hey, I'm a website designer, front-end designer, and I work with pharmaceutical industry, I work with crypto, I work with whatever. I do this kind of website, this kind of websites, I do a number of technologies. So if you try to talk to everybody, basically none of your potential clients will feel that you're talking to them. Your message will get diluted. So yeah, what I try to advocate is that you should be offering value on LinkedIn, right? Talk about what problems do you solve for your clients. Demonstrate this via guides, previous case studies, checklists. Basically, what I'm advocating for is to become an industry leader within your space. And what's super important here, it's that it's always about them, the clients, and not about you. Don't talk about yourself. Talk about how you can help these potential or past clients, right? What are their pain points? What do they struggle with? What do you find when you're working together with these clients? What their struggles are and how do you usually solve them? And what is the old way that they are doing and why is it a shitty way? Why is it manual? Why is it slow? Why is it causing them, pain? Why are they losing money because they're doing this old way? And why your approach as a freelancer is better. So when I talk about like being present on LinkedIn and talking about and then sharing content, this is what I mean. And yeah, as I said, try to become an industry thought leader. It doesn't have to be, super big. You don't have to have an audience of hundreds of thousands or millions of people. If you have a couple of thousand people who are perfectly in your target audience, then if you start building trust with those kind of people and generate leads, maybe through these conversations, then you're already set as a freelancer. So that's one part of the equation, right? Being present on LinkedIn, sharing content, and it doesn't have to be every day, right? You can share, like if you really create something valuable, like the post example I'm sharing here, you can share once a week or maybe twice a week, and that's going to be completely fine. It's about, what I'm finding is that it's about quality and not quantity when it comes to social presences nowadays. So that's one part of the equation, being present, building trust, treating a social platform like LinkedIn as your extended portfolio. The other part is where it gets interesting, right? So this first part, I guess a lot of you guys in the audience are already doing, which is amazing. But maybe you're finding that you're not getting the right results. Maybe you have never had a client actually find you through Instagram or LinkedIn, but you've been pouring your heart into it and you're wondering, well, what could I be doing that should make this whole endeavor more successful? Well, this is again where our whole multi-channel operation comes into play. So first part, inbound marketing, we have established that we are present on a social channel, for example, LinkedIn. We are providing content that is valuable to our ideal client. What comes next? How do we bring in the outbound perspective into this? Well, the second key to making multi-channel and all-bound marketing work is to be active with your outreach. So again, in an ideal world, your LinkedIn content generation or your Instagram content generation alone will generate you a couple of potential clients, which is perfect. But if we build this outbound leg to it as an addition, it will gently aid that process. It will basically supercharge it. So what could be a potential outbound flow? What is that? Well, just to step back a little bit, again, outbound is basically you trying to reach clients, looking them up on LinkedIn, writing to them, connecting to them, basically virtually knocking on the door and saying, hey, I'm available. I actually see that, for example, your website is loading super slow. Hey, I'm a freelance, front-end developer. I've actually solved the same problem for a similar company in your industry, the same size they were, and they have a website now that loads, 5 seconds faster. And on that website, people are signing up, 3 times more, right? And I want to do the same thing to you. That's basically what outbound is. So when done right, what you can build with outbound marketing is an automatic engine that allows you to basically put everything on autopilot. Now, building something like that, outbound lead generation on autopilot, that will cost you some money, meaning that you will have to subscribe to tools. It can range between, a couple of euros, 20, 30 euros to 100, whatever euros a month. But what I usually say is that if you build something like that, and if that automatic engine brings you 1, 2, 3 leads every month, then it's usually worth it because it saved a lot of time and effort for you. So yeah, if you want to build something like that and have it run on autopilot, it's going to cost you some money. But today, what I'm going to be showcasing is a more manual flow to this, which can be done basically free. Now, what is the math behind outbound marketing? So usually the idea is that, for example, if you were to reach out to 100 of these, ideal clients, 100 of these, website owners that you want to be working with, out of those 100, what you usually get is, a couple of people getting back to you, 5 or 6 or 7 replies. Out of those 5 or 7, replies, some will be negative, we're not interested, bugger off. But some will be positive, and they will actually land a potential exploratory call. So out of those 100, you will get maybe 2 or 3 calls, and out of those 2 or 3, maybe 1 or 2 will turn into clients. I wanted to showcase this real simple, like super simplified math behind this, because it showcases that in order to make outreach work, like cold emailing, cold calling, whatever, you have to do it on a scale, right? And 100 is basically the lowest amount where it can start working. So there are 4 actual steps to this, and I actually brought you a couple of tools that I'm going to be showcasing how to do it manually and how to do this whole outreach with some results. There's going to be 4 steps to this. I'm going to showcase real quick where to actually find clients, because if you know your ideal clients, the next question is usually, okay, but like, how do I search for them? What's the platform? Like, how do I list them? How do I even start gathering these people? The second one is, how do we find their email addresses? And the next one is, okay, how do I engage with them on emails or on LinkedIn? And then how do I follow up my LinkedIn outreach via an email to make it truly multi-channel? So I'm going to be showcasing these exact steps with a couple of tools that I brought in. So number 1, let's say that I think in my use case, what I brought to you guys is actually my use case. So as a freelancer, as a freelance marketer, I usually work with chief revenue officers, and I help them solve marketing automation problems. So how do I find my potential leads? Well, I can go on, LinkedIn and just search for chief revenue officers, or maybe I have a sales navigator subscription on LinkedIn. But again, we're doing this on the cheap now, so let's assume that we don't. There's this website, recruiting.net, which allows us to basically search Google for LinkedIn profiles. It will make sense in a minute. So my use case is that I, as a freelance marketer, I want to be working with chief revenue officers. I know their pain points. They want to automate marketing campaigns. So I'm going to be looking for people who have this job title. Let's go after Germany. And I know that my ideal clients work in the SaaS industry, software as a service industry. So that's a super specific keyword that all of my ideal clients would have in their LinkedIn profiles. And then I use this tool to basically generate a custom Google search query, which basically what will it do is just search for all of the LinkedIn profiles publicly on Google that share the same characteristics. Chief revenue officers in Germany in the SaaS industry, right? It's just pretty neat. So yeah, again, we're on the cheap now, so we are saving money. So what I would do at this case is just, gather these one by one, open these one by one, and just start gathering them in a spreadsheet. For example, this guy, he's a Merano, he's a CRO at a company. Perfect. I think SaaS is there. Yeah, why not? I think this person is perfectly in my ICP. All right. So let's say that I have one, two, maybe 100 of these LinkedIn accounts ready. What do I do next? Well, in order to make this a truly multi-channel thing, we'll have to find emails. I could, at this point, already, send a connection request or message this guy, because on LinkedIn I can do this. And what this guy would probably do is that, open my open his notifications, and see, hey, I've connected with this person, and he would probably check out my profile. And at this point, what profile this person would see is a profile where I'm talking about with my content about his exact pain points, which is perfect. And he would maybe find a lot of useful, helpful stuff within my content, and he would already start building a relationship, a connection with me, virtually speaking, building some trust, which is amazing. But at this point, let's say that, yeah, he's looking at my content. He's like, yeah, it's all right, but I have a meeting coming up. I can't really focus on this. Whatever. I can't just network right now. So what we have to do is that we have to remind these potential clients that we are still here. We can do that in a number of different channels. Again, we can connect here, or we can reach out via email. Something cool is that if you have a person's name, then you can basically figure out their email addresses pretty easily. There are a number of tools out there. Find Email is one. Prospeo is another one. There are like 20 different providers. But for the sake of the argument, I'm going to use a free solution here that will say that, for example, for this guy, let's just get his email address and the domain of the company he's working for. I've checked this before, so it's anfound.com. And we can easily figure out the email address of this person. It's basically a simple guessing solution. It just runs a couple of different combinations, and it usually comes up with a verified email address. So going back to our previous search, if we were to do the same steps with a number of these people on page 2, on page 3, you can still see that we have chief revenue officers in the SaaS industry with a very German-sounding name. So far, so good. So if we do these steps and these steps with a lot of people, what we will have is a database of potential clients. Amazing, right? So again, at this point, I could just connect with them on LinkedIn, wait a couple of days, and then try to write them a quick email. This is actually the last step, right? This is what makes this whole approach super multi-channel. At this point, you could write like customized emails one by one, or what you could do is do a mail merge. So let's say that every month you do this exercise and you gather 100 of these people here. What you can do is, get their first names, their emails, their whatever, maybe get a virtual assistant to help out, maybe automate this. There are a number of ways to do this. But what the end product would be is that you would have your perfect leads listed here with their email addresses ready to go. I've deleted the email addresses for now because I want to demonstrate this live. In some cases, people actually like to write like personalized messages, but writing 100 emails, that's a lot. So what you can do is after sending maybe a connection request on LinkedIn, what you can do is write a reminder email in Google Sheets. Yeah, I said that right. You can write an email in Google Sheets. What we can do here is a so-called mail merge. So if you create a draft email in Google Mail, and if you install an extension called yet another mail merge tool, what this will allow you to do is to basically make a carbon copy and merge different fields, for example, first name into your emails. So it will customize your emails on scale, and then you can send it at a click of a button. So let me just do that. And that's why I deleted the emails here, because I want to test it, send it to my own email address. Let's just do that together. So yeah, I will select the template, which was, couldn't get in touch on LinkedIn. Again, this email is in draft, and I have only customized like one sentence here. I have this super short email here, try to connect on LinkedIn, but seems like we missed each other. I help companies, blah, 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 automate, blah, blah, blah. I've helped this company grow by this much. Can I send you a video where I showcase how I did it? This is like a more advanced step, but people really love to see success stories. So yeah, let's say that we have 100 emails here. This mail merge tool allows me to send those 100 emails at a click of a button, and it will send it to all of the email addresses designated in the first column under emails. So I'm going to send those 9 emails. It's going to send it to me, but you'll see that the first name field will actually be customized. So while this is sending, you see why this whole approach is super powerful. Just to recap what has been happening. First, we've been building trust and an audience on LinkedIn by providing useful content that is perfectly targeted at our ideal customer. And again, sometimes that is enough to get clients. But what we have done next is that we tried to boost this a little bit, because we decided to go ahead and try to search for a couple of leads that are perfectly in our ideal target profile. Then we actually reached out on these people on LinkedIn. We followed them, we connected with them. They've seen our content, and they see that we are thought leaders in our space. What happens next is that we're going to be giving a little push to this, and we're going to be trying to connect with them, and then maybe send an email as well via doing a mail merge. And again, you can see that 9 of these emails have been sent, no recipients in this case because we didn't have an email. And we'll see that in my inbox, there should be, there you go, 9 emails. And you can see that the first name has been supplemented in each of these cases, which is pretty cool. So yeah, a couple of notes on this. Obviously, this is like a super simplified version of like what high-level businesses are doing when it comes to cold outreach. We can have a lot of discussions about spamming people. We can have a discussion about GDPR. But when it comes to legitimate business outreaches, this is all legal and all valid. So what you're doing here is perfectly A-okay. Another common misconception is that your emails will land in spam. If you do things right, and if you write a simple message that people actually respond to, and if you don't do anything shady, for example, pretend to be a Nigerian prince, again, you will be fine. Another common misconception is that, oh, it will hurt my, I don't know, Gmail account or domain reputation. If you're doing it at a scale of like sending 100 emails every month or maybe 200, you're going to be completely fine. Like most providers do these on the scales of thousands. So yeah. But if you do this with a quality approach, and where you're actually targeting the right people and you're sending the right message and you're pushing the right pain points, they will actually respond. And the math that I've shown here, which was if you do this every month with 100 of these potential clients, and if you offer quality, and if you really target their pain points, you will get these kind of numbers, and you will automatically have 1 or 2 clients. Now, the whole exercise that I've shown you here maybe takes 1 hour, maybe 2 hours every month if we include in the content generation. But it will allow you to actually, you know, uh, put almost all of your lead generation on autopilot, which is what we want as freelancers. So yeah, that's about it. Hopefully, I wasn't too technical here. I wanted to show like a real use case scenario where people can actually use this. I really want to highlight that what really works is A, you being genuine, B, you solving real problems for real clients, and C, just being upfront and honest about it. What I'm shown here is basically a crutch and a way to scale this a little bit so that you have a systematic approach to getting clients and avoiding the ups and downs of freelancing. So yeah, questions.
First of all, Peter, thank you very much. Like when you were telling I was saving links, I was trying, to go there to try this. I didn't install just another mail merge, but that's exactly what I'm going to do after we finish this webinar. Because like, yeah, basically you create your operational system without any tools, like with Google Sheets, with Gmail, like super easy. Thank you so much for sharing. There is a question, a Q&A session. You told a little about GDPR, but once again, a question from Yannick. How does this workflow conforms with GDPR? You're on mute, just in case.
So yeah, to be fair, I'm not a lawyer, but when we consulted with people, what they told us is that when it comes to legitimate business outreaches, so in B2B settings, GDPR doesn't apply. GDPR applies to B2C settings. So yeah, that's basically it.
And I feel like it's also open information. So you don't like taking data from people and then kind of like source and like saving it. But yeah, I feel like it's not a problem for sure. But once again, everyone who afraid of GDPR and stuff, please go contact your lawyers and ask them how to do it better. So another question from Steinje. Do you have any tips on how to define your ideal client? By the way, that's exactly the question I had also on my mind when I saw like you told like 2 or 3 or 4 times about ideal client and like how to understand who is your ideal client.
I think the easiest way to define it is if you have already done a couple of freelance projects and like maybe one of them was super successful. So again, let's go back to our like website example. You have done websites for maybe a, wedding photographer and then for this, medium-sized local company. And those guys actually were super fun to work with. You like that industry and they paid you really, really well. Then what I would say is just carbon copy that, right? If for example that company was an e-commerce store selling fashion accessories, and you enjoyed that project and they paid you well, then that could be an avenue that you double down on, and that could be like a mold, so to speak, that could form the ideal client profile for you. As I said, I really recommend going as specific as possible because let's say you have done that e-commerce store to this fashion accessory client. If you were to go to 20, 30, 50 other e-commerce stores that are in the fashion industry and show them, hey, I've already done this, then they will feel that you're actually talking to them and you're showing examples where you have already built trust and authority about actually delivering. So maybe you can skip industry and say, hey, I've built an e-commerce store for a fashion industry, and then go to, I don't know, somebody who's in the selling food stuff, whatever. They will still find, yeah, this guy knows, e-commerce, but they will not resonate with you as much. Again, it could work in those scenarios, but yeah. So yeah, just to answer shortly your question, yeah, try to find a previous project that really worked and try to replicate that at scale.
By the way, it's something that freelancers are usually missing. They try to always find something new, like find new clients, and they forgetting about like those who they worked before. So that's exactly your use cases. That's exactly your ideal clients. If everyone liked cooperation, if you delivered great project and people were happy, like just scale it, go find other
Yeah,
people like that. It's like okay, so
exactly.
there is Yannick added a comment that I'm not a lawyer, but you need to have a double opt-in in order to email someone directly. I'm pretty sure for that. With LinkedIn part, you are safe, but now when sending emails to personal email addresses, anyway, yeah, it's. I feel like it's a really really open
Yeah, but those are
question.
not personal email addresses. Those are business email addresses. That's the difference.
But anyway, once again, if it's not a lawyer advice or whatever here, that's what we are talking about. So please go contact, go ask, um, I don't know, go ask some experts. So there is a question which from anonymous attendee. Would you mind sharing a bit on automating this process? How much would it cost on average, and who could provide such service?
Uh, I mean, it depends on the scale. To be honest with you, like the biggest players, like they spend thousands on this. And automation can be anything. So what could be a cool automation is going back to our website example is to just look at the load speed of each of these websites. Again, e-commerce store, and this guy's website loads in 5 seconds, this guy's 8, this guy's 4. And in your outreach, you can include that. Like, hey, I've seen that your website, loaded for like 8 seconds. Do you know that you're losing this and this much money? So there's a couple of ways to make this even neater. In terms of like automation, one of the simplest ways is maybe to just ask a virtual assistant on Upwork to do this for you. Um, you can pay for LinkedIn's Sales Navigator, which allows you to do the same search that I've did here, but with much more impact and much more detail, and then export those lists and then just upload it here and then use that. Obviously, the tools that I've shown here, for example, was it Find Email? Obviously, these tools allow you to upload huge lists at scale and export at scale. So those are like steps that can actually save a lot of time. But again, at those points, you'll have to pay for these tools, unfortunately. But they usually cost for a freelancer like 10, 20, $30, for example, email verification, that sort of stuff. Yeah. But at that point, if you were to hire like a virtual assistant, that would cost you 50, 100 euros, whatever. So it's if you're technically inclined, I would suggest automations. If not, just contact a virtual assistant to do this for you.
By the way, you mentioned this just another mail merge. Is it paid tool or is it
Yes,
like
that's the same story. It's a
okay?
paid tool. What they
Hmm.
do is that you can send every day 20 of these emails free. It used to be 50, which was a much better deal, but then again, you can always set up like 2 Gmail accounts. So, for example.
Or three or four. Like yeah, freelancers always can find workarounds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so there is another question. I feel like it's not for you how to boost sales with the 9am.works platform, but Markar, please let's connect. Let's talk about it. 9am platform connects you with best projects in Europe and around of the Europe. So just go there, create account, and start applying for projects. It's an easy answer. If you want to continue this conversation, let's talk. Another question from Giraffe. Oh, okay. I don't usually post on LinkedIn, just some comments here and there. So, how do you recommend to start there? I'm a software developer and I want to offer a website regular maintenance offer.
That's a very good question. I would say is start with inspiration. So what I would do in your case is to look at your peers, so people who do the similar thing as freelancers, and see what do they talk about and what their most liked and engaged posts are. And potentially those are the kind of things that you would want to replicate. So yeah, go on research this stuff, see what people are talking about who are targeting similar industries as you, see what resonates with your potential audience. Just start listing these on a Notion page, start gathering ideas, start really thinking about um, when you are talking with potential clients, what do you guys discuss, for example, on an exploratory call? Like, what are the problems that they are usually listing? Why are they contacting you? I would focus on those kind of things and just start offering answers and values and solutions to those as your content on LinkedIn. Because if you're helping people for free, that will start building a relationship between you guys, and they will feel that A, that you know your stuff, and B, that you know you've been helping so much, you've been offering so many free stuff. They would really want to reciprocate and just maybe jump on a call. It's like a psychological thing that actually works.
Also, one more trick that I recently learned that you don't really have to be an amazing thought leader. You don't have to have thousands of followers. You can find thought leaders who are doing pretty much the same thing that you are doing. And then you can comment under their posts, but not
Right.
like, congratulations, great stuff, or whatever. Nobody cares about those. Just really add value, like go through their post and add some valuable experience. First of all, you get on the radar of these people, so most likely you'll connect in the future, learn from each other, but also they're doing it for their clients. So there are people who are listening to them, and they will see your answers too, and most likely they will contact you at some point. So it's like one
Yeah.
of the those easy ways. There is another question. Hey, Peter, my question is about industries. For example, in my industry, healthcare, mostly pharma ICP, it's quite hard to get a response via email. Have you worked with pharma clients and have any experience?
Yeah. Well, it depends. Pharma is can be very enterprisey and very high level. What I would suggest is to figure out who you're trying to connect, right? So maybe you're trying to connect a decision maker who is actually too high on the food chain. Um, what I would suggest is that or what we're finding success with is to try to go lower level and to try to find a champion within the organization who is actually dealing with the problem that you're trying to solve. Because if you find that low level person, that person will respond to your email with a higher success like reply rate, and B, you will have your own, I guess, team player within the organization who will try to champion your services to the higher ups. Basically, you have to find a person who struggles with the actual problems, solve their problems, and if you can demonstrate that you can deliver for them, they will sell your idea within the organization.
It's kind of like coming from the back door, like
Yeah,
finding
something like that.
finding
Yeah.
your friend in the organization. And the funniest
And
thing is
yeah,
that
and to be honest, sorry, to be honest, like if you're going after like, decision makers, they got a shit ton of these emails, sorry for my language, and they even if you're like super really super convincing and offer a lot of value, they just don't have the time to interact with you.
yeah, and usually those people who are purchasing or who are really using, who are really benefiting from your services, sometimes there are also different people. And
Right.
as you've Peter mentioned, let them advocate for you before
Exactly,
the
yeah.
decision makers. So yeah, you answered all the questions, and I feel like it was one of the most valuable and practical presentations here today. So Peter, thank you very much for this, and I highly encourage everyone. I already shared Peter's LinkedIn, and I'll share it once again. So please go and connect with Peter. Continue this conversation because like it's always good when you are learning something once, but it's a continuous journey. You can't learn something once and forget about it. You have to learn over and over and over again, especially as freelancer. You have to have this learning skill in your DNA. Otherwise, yeah, please go to full-time job. Okay, so yes, Peter, once again, thank you so much for sharing these great tips. I will definitely use them myself. And thank you, folks, for joining us today. If you have any other questions, please connect with Peter on LinkedIn and ask
Yeah,
them.
absolutely.
Ask them on LinkedIn. Or if you are 9 a.m. community on Slack, let's talk there. And again, for those of you who don't have a 9 a.m. account, go to 9am.works, sign up, and check it out. And if you have any challenges during that, feel free to reach out and we'll help you to set everything up. Once again, Peter, super huge thank you for this amazing content, for this amazing conversation.
Yeah, and thank you for having me, and thank you, Yuri, for your fantastic facilitation of this session.
Thank you very much. We'll have many more conversations. By the way, I'll invite you to be a guest on Freelance Thrive and Freelance Sucks, and I will get even more of you during those podcast conversations. I'll get ready for that. And yeah, talk to you soon. Have an amazing evening. See you later. Bye.
Bye bye.